Hello there folks, welcome back to the Chap's Guide. My name is Ash and I am your host on this journey through men's style, self-development and personal grooming. Now welcome back to something of an update video, because around about a year ago, or a little bit over actually, I did a video on the top 10 things which I can't live without. And the idea behind that was to just share with you some of the items which have been in my life which bring me pleasure, bring me joy, make my life a little easier on that path to Chap Nirvana. Well, over the last year, as ever, but particularly over the last year, I've been on a bit of a life evolution. Of course, running this YouTube channel, I'm often exposed to new things and experiences and products that I sometimes bring to you, showcase you. Other times they're just things in my private life. But many of the things which I spoke about in my original video have now been superseded by new things which I've encountered, and perhaps new things entirely to my life which have brought me a little bit of pleasure. So today I thought I'd bring you something of an update video on the things that I can't live without. Now in my original video I said the hat that I can't live without was in fact my trilby. And that's true to a degree, it still is. The trilby is the hat which I wear in most formal, semi-formal situations. But when I look back over the last year, the hat which I have worn the most, undoubtedly, is this tweed flat cap, because it tends to go with my lifestyle. All right, you can see I live in a rural environment to a degree, and I often spend time outdoors, walking in the woods, in the hills, tending animals, things like that. And a trilby, remarkably smart and dapper as it is not as practical as my good old flat cap, for a whole host of reasons. One, I don't mind wearing this in any weather. If it gets wet, if it gets damp, it really doesn't matter. It protects the head. It's very good at keeping the head warm. It's very good at shading the eyes from sunlight. But one feature it does have, which I can't say is replicated by my trilby, it can easily be rolled up and shoved into the pocket. So for that reason, the hat, on hindsight, which I think I could not live without, is my wonderful flat cap. Whilst the trilby is still there for my smarter occasions, the hat I wear most every day, my flat cap. Now another revision from my original video is the coat which I wear most of all. And in my original video, I said that my barber jacket was the outerwear which I couldn't live without. And that's true, I spend a lot of time in the outdoors and my good old barber really takes the strain. But over the last winter particularly, I'm just filming this in sort of early spring, the jacket, the coat which I wore most of all was my woolen pea coat, because we had a rather chilly winter. And whilst the barber is a great jacket for inclement weather, if you want to look smart and stave off the cold weather, I do still love that pea coat. It absolutely allows you to take on the elements while still cutting a dash. Now I'm wearing a pea coat of sorts today. This is a sort of olive green one, as you can see, but it is a pea coat. But the one which I've worn throughout the winter has been my traditional, in fact, US Navy military surplus woolen pea coat in black, and it has absolutely done the job for me. You can button it right down in the stormiest and coolest of days, and you feel entirely encapsulated in that thick wool. However, if you're going into the city and you want to wear, something a little more formal, maybe even a suit under that pea coat, because of the sort of uniform element to it, it derives from a military uniform after all, it has the ability to be worn in smart situations too. So because of its versatility, the pea coat is now the coat which I couldn't live without. And in fact, the pea coat which I've worn most of all, I purchased from eBay for the grand total of £22. So it is in fact one of my most frugal outerwear purchases, and one of the best. Now let's get a bit closer to the body. Some of those personal hygiene items which just you use every day, you don't really think about them, but they can make a lot of difference in your enjoyment and comfort of life. Now, over the years, I've used many different deodorants. You know, I've used antiperspirants, roll-ons, you name it, I've given it a go over my many long years of life. However, I have finally found a product which I absolutely enjoy putting on every day, gives me the scent hit that I like, and delivers as a deodorant as well. Now, this is somewhat traditional. Yes, it's from George Trumper, which is probably the most famous barber shop in London. They've been around since 1875, he says, glancing at the label. And, you know, I've been in their store in Mayfair and in St. James's over the years. I've bought many of their shaving products, but up until last year, I never tried a deodorant. Now, this is one of their stick deodorants, and these are glycol based. So they're unlike the alcohol based that you typically get with many roll-on deodorants or stick deodorants. And alcohol, for me, irritates my skin. If I use an alcohol-based deodorant under the arms, it tends to sting and causes me discomfort. But I find the glycol-based ones don't do that at all. And oh, the fragrances are to die for. Now, this one is Spanish leather. It's one of my favourite fragrances, not unique to George Trumper, but they deliver a magnificent Spanish leather product. The deodorant is great. I layer it actually with their shave cream. I've also got some of their skin food, which you put on after shave. It's like a moisturiser. And they all work together in unison and deliver a wonderful personal hygiene experience for the gentleman. Now, I've tried some of their other fragrances. Euchris, one of my all-time favourite fragrances, they do in a stick deodorant as well, and it is absolute knockout. But Spanish leather, for me, George Trumper, it's about £15, lasts quite a long time, 2 to 3 months. It is my daily wearer, and it's something I couldn't live without. Now, staying with personal hygiene, I think every gentleman should have a signature fragrance. I've said this many times. It's important to set the olfactory standard when you meet people. You know, if they smell that you're somebody who has a beautiful, delectable fragrance about you, it says a lot. It can actually overcome maybe, poor dressing if you smell beautifully. And for many years, I've really embraced fragrances. I've got a huge collection, unfortunately, but over time, I've had my favourites. Now, last video, I talked about my summer fragrance being Dunhill Edition. That is still my summer signature fragrance. But winter time, last time we spoke, I said Florist number 89, the classic Bond fragrance, was my favourite. But it has changed. There's a new one which has entered my lexicon of fragrance, and it is Chanel Antaeus. Now, Antaeus has been around since 1981, and in many ways it embodies the brash, conspicuous masculinity of the 1980s. Now, I was born in 1970, so I came of age in the 80s, and I remember many of the fragrances being brutal, strong and powerful. And that's exactly the essence of Chanel Antaeus. Chanel Antaeus is strong, it's heavy, it's heady, it is an aromatic fragrance which is very velvety. It has got elements of leather, of amber, and it's definitely something which once smelled is never forgotten, but in a pleasant way. I don't find people take a dislike to Antaeus, which is unlike some of the other big brash fragrances of that era, which tend to have a polarizing effect. People either love them or hate them. With Antaeus, and I'm wearing it today, it's my daytime signature fragrance at the cool time of year, it is, and the term I've used is velvety, and I think that just describes it. It is smooth and sexy and masculine. And for that reason, this is now the fragrance I couldn't live without. It's about £85 from department stores, but Chanel delivers a knockout product, good longevity. You put it on in the morning and it's still performing late into the afternoon. You can wear it out in the evening to a special event, and it'll definitely deliver the sillage, that lasting memory of fragrance, which you want to deliver onto the people that you encounter in life. Now, the next item I want to talk about is one which I always talk about in videos, and that is the good old wristwatch. Now, in my last video, I said my wristwatch I couldn't live without was my Rolex Submariner. I'm going to say I still agree with that, but the Rolex Submariner is the watch that you want, that you will reach for if there's a zombie apocalypse. All right, it's the watch which can take on the world. It's tough, it's rugged, 300 meters of water resistance. You've not got to worry about that watch on your wrist. And James Bond popularized it as the watch which a gentleman can wear across any element of his clothing style. However, the watch which I wear most of all, which is on my wrist day to day, is my Rolex Datejust. And for a number of good reasons. The Datejust is elegant, all right? It's 36 millimeters across the dial, which makes it disappear on the wrist. I've got a 6.5-inch wrist for reference, so the Datejust is a beautiful size for me. It fits under my clothing, and as I habitually wear what you would possibly describe as smart casual clothing, maybe a shirt with a collar, maybe a tweed sports jacket this time of year, I don't have to worry about wearing a larger sports watch which might catch on the collar on the cuff. With my little Datejust, 36 millimeters, but rugged and tough, it slips easily under my sleeve. And my particular model has the Jubilee bracelet, which came when the watch was entered the horological world in 1945. And it is so comfortable, much more comfortable in my mind than the Rolex Oyster bracelet. It conforms to the wrist, it's much more articulated, and it's a little bit more stylish in my opinion too. Merely my opinion. I know many of you are screaming at the camera or your sort of device right now saying, rubbish, that's a terrible watch, it's too small, it's too blingy. Absolutely not. This watch takes on the world just as well as my Submariner. Screw down crown, 100 meters of water resistance, tough as old boots, made of stainless steel, yet stylish enough to be worn with any amount of smarter clothing. So for that reason, the watch I think which I would reach for if my house was on fire and my wristwatch collection were on the table and I could only grab one, it would be the Datejust. Okay, now a bit more practical. If you're a regular viewer of my channel, you will be aware that I'm a big proponent of using a journal in your life. And I use two journals generally. I've got one journal which I call a life journal, and in that I use it to order my life. I take records of the food that I eat, the exercise that I take, and my activities for the day ahead and the months ahead. So I plan my life using a journal. I do that because I feel that using a pen on paper allows something to flow from within my soul onto the paper. It's different than writing something into a desktop or using a voice recorder on your phone. Using something tangible like a pen on paper makes a big difference. And for many, many years, I've been loyal to the Moleskine brand of Italian designed and very widely available journals. And I have as I say, I have a personal journal and I have a work journal. So I have two. So it's important to me to get the best that I can in this situation. Now last year, I transitioned across to Leuchtturm, which is a brand which is not easy to say. It's a German design brand. The products themselves are not actually made in Germany. I think they're made in the Far East. But Leuchtturm were a real step up for me from Moleskine. They're approximately the same price, which is about £20 or so for an A5 journal like this, quite thick one. The reasons I transitioned was because Leuchtturm have better paper stock inside. So to give you an example, the paper in here is 80 GSM, grams per square meter, opposed to Moleskine, which is 70 GSM. So you've got a significant uplift in the quality of the paper. If you use a fountain pen, as I do, it never bleeds through the paper. It always stays on one side. So you get maximum, coverage with your use of the book as well. Another big advantage to these is that they have an index or a contents page at the beginning. And all of the pages are numbered. So you can keep track of your work easily. You don't have to put little sort of marker tabs on the pages to find out where your work is, because you've got it in the contents page. You can go straight to that page. Job is done. They're tough, they're rugged, they're a good price, and I filled a few of these babies now from beginning to end, and I have found them to be exactly the journal that I want in my daily life. Now, they come in all different sizes and all different colours, and they keep introducing new colours, and I actually quite like I enjoy doing different colours each time I buy myself a new journal. So they are very much the book, my companion, which I take through life as my daily journal. Now, staying with the journal theme, if you have a journal, you need to write in it. And for me, there's no alternative to a fountain pen. A biro or a ballpoint just doesn't cut the mustard. I want a fountain pen. And whether I'm on the go or at my desk, there's one pen which I habitually reach for. And it is my Kaweco All Sport. This is small, they call them a folding pen, but in essence, it's a small pen which unscrews, you can put it together, and it makes a wonderful writing instrument. Now again, it's a German designed pen. I believe they're made in Germany as well. And as simple as they are the perfect accompaniment to a journal. So if you're on the go, you can put this in your pocket because it screws up. You know it's not going to leak. You've got no concerns about it. It's there when you need it. However, it delivers a really good writing experience. Now, they're available in all different materials. You can have a plastic one, they're about £20. You can have a brass one, a steel one. This is solid aluminium, so it's quite robust. You feel it in your hand, you know you've got something of quality there. And they're light but strong, and one of the best features of aluminium. And they look good as well. This particular one is in a colour called iguana blue, but they keep bringing out new colours every year, seasonal colours, which are attractive, and if you're a collector of pens, it gives you a reason to keep buying them, I guess. Now, one of the things I love about them, they're available in all different nib sizes, and this particular one is a broad nib, which I find delivers a smooth and velvety writing experience in my Leuchtturm journal with that good quality paper stock. So for me, it's an absolute winner chicken dinner. When I go into a meeting, I bring out my journal, I take my Kaweco pen out and I unscrew it and I start to take notes while everybody else is tapping into their laptops, and I make a statement. I tell people that I am a man of substance. I am a person who has one foot in the heritage of the past, but also I can use a pen and capture notes on paper as I'm going along. It says something about you, and it's the sort of thing that I want people to know about me. I'm a capable, robust, solid individual who likes a bit of heritage, yet still is stylish in the application of that heritage. Now, there's one thing which I can't live without. However, it's not something very exciting, because I've said it so many times, and that's a book. Do you know what? I've never got a book very far away from me. It doesn't matter what the book is. This is just one I'm reading at the moment. But I often talk about the importance of self-development and stretching the mind as one ages. It doesn't matter if you're watching this and you're 25 or 75. Your brain needs to be stretched. It needs to be exercised. And one thing which does that for you is reading. Now, I love reading. I've always got at least one or two books on the go. And my preference is actually non-fiction, because by reading non-fiction, you're getting something, a learnable experience every time you read a book. Fiction is great, if you want entertainment. But non-fiction, I have found over the years, has delivered the best learning experience for me. If you're somebody who just loves fiction, why not make a pact with yourself to do fiction, non-fiction every other. That way you'll definitely develop further along on that journey to Chap Nirvana. But I could not live without a book, and whilst I'm not going to recommend any specific book to you today, if you're somebody who doesn't read enough in life, why not this afternoon, or whatever time of day it is with you, choose a new book. Embark upon a new experience, and a little bit of self-development can make all the difference. Okay, now I've been talking about lots of things that I have to have. I can't live without. I've always got them with me. And you must be wondering, how the hell does the guy carry this lot around? And in my last I Can't Live Without video, I told you about my leather valise, which I carry most of the year. in fact, most of the cold times of the year, to be honest, because in the cooler parts of the year, I tend to carry a lot more stuff. I will, of course, have my hat. I will always be carrying my journal. I have a book with me. I have a pen with me. I might have, in the winter time, a scarf, a pair of gloves, whatever it may be, an umbrella. But in the summertime, my carry-around requirements are far less. And that leather valise becomes a bit burdensome to, lug around with me. Last year, I got myself something totally different. Now this is what you would probably call a utility bag, and I've been carrying this around for at least 6 months, I guess. Now this is from an American company called Nutsack, and this is a Taxac 13. Now I went for the Taxac 13 because I have a 13-inch MacBook Pro, and it fits like a hand inside a glove inside this particular bag. As you can see, it's made of a waxed canvas, which, as you know, I spend a lot of time wearing Barber jackets and other outer garments like that. This fits in with my general aesthetic, the way that I dress. Now, whilst it's made of waxed canvas, it also has leather accents around it, so a leather strap here, leather on the bottom to protect it. And the reason I went for this bag, as I say, it fits in with my look, but it's very, very practical. Inside, it's got lots of compartments. It's got this molly system where you can slip in cables and things like that. And it's got a little administration bag inside where you can put your pens and smaller items so that they don't rattle around inside. It's got very solid zips on it, which are easy to open. And, it can be carried over the shoulder or with like a briefcase in the hand. And it's because of the flexibility that I've really come to love this bag. As I say, 6 months on, and it's actually starting to look better as it's getting a bit of signs of wear on it, because the waxed canvas is starting to have some little marks, and it looks more personalized and looks more it looks more worn. So that's what I really love about this bag, its robustness. And when I come up here to the field where I do most of my filming, this carries everything I want. It's brought with me everything that you're seeing in this video today, because it's just got this great ability to swallow things. It's got various pockets on the front and on the back where you can store things, and lots of little bits and nooks and crannies. And it's just become my go-to bag. It fits in with my aesthetic, whether I'm wearing, a tweed sports coat or a Barber jacket. Maybe not for the city. I would defer to a leather briefcase in that situation. But the practicality of this little Nutsack Taxac 13 has really won me over. And I'm definitely going to be looking at further products from their range. Cost about £200, which is, fairly expensive, but you get what you pay for, and I'm certainly very pleased with this. So happy with that one, and that's what I carry pretty much most of the time now, unless I need a much bigger valise when I will go back to my leather bag. But this one really has cut the mustard for me in the last year. Okay, so just one more item to round up the things that I can't live without. And in my last video, I told people that I enjoy the odd glass of whiskey, and the whiskey I deferred to was Canadian Club, a blended, rather low quality whiskey really, which didn't cost a lot of money at all. And I had a lot of comments telling me that I was a Philistine, I was a monster, I should be locked up and the key thrown away for drinking such a terrible whiskey. Well, I have been on a whiskey journey since that video, and I've enjoyed some lovely malts. I've enjoyed many different whiskies over this last year. It's become my alcoholic beverage of choice, it is fair to say that. But there's one brand which I have really come to enjoy, and I've got a bottle, or well, a third of a bottle of it here with me today, and this is Shackleton whiskey. Now, Shackleton whiskey is made by Scottish brand McKinley's, and it is a reproduction of a whiskey blend. It's a blended malt whiskey which was produced for the Shackleton. Now, Shackleton is a polar explorer, a British guy who went on an Antarctic expedition in 1907, and McKinley's produced some whiskey for that expedition. And this is a reproduction of that whiskey from that era. And it came out a few years ago. And as I say, it's a blended malt whiskey, but what I like about it it's mild, it is mellow. It's a sipping whiskey. I can have it with just with soda water and ice, and that is my perfect drink to relax at the end of a busy week. And I really enjoy it. It also goes well with if you're making a whiskey cocktail, for instance. I know on Christmas Day this year I featured Shackleton whiskey in my Explorer iced tea, which was a whiskey-based sort of cocktail, which is just pleasing and long and cooling to drink. And for that reason, Shackleton has become my go-to. Now, in my cupboard at home, there are some malt whiskies these days, but actually the one I reach for, the mellow and mild and tasty one, is often Shackleton. And at £23 a bottle here in the UK, it doesn't break the bank at all. So actually a good one to have as a favourite. Well folks, we've come to the end, but I've got a bonus item for you as a treat. And it's a thing which doesn't cost a penny. It's the woodland. It's the place where I spend an awful lot of my time. It's where we meet in almost every one of my videos, because it's where I love to come. This is my studio. It's where I get grounded in my life. It's where I get to return my equilibrium to a nice steady level. Because when I'm here amongst the trees and the nature and the animals which come to join me here from time to time in Oak Lodge, you've seen the horses in some of my videos, badgers, deer, squirrels, everything, in the British countryside anyway, joins me in these woods. And it is a fabulous place for mental well-being and mental resilience, because regardless of the tribulations which we face in life, when I come here, I am reminded that nature goes on, it steams on. Whilst I'm on my journey to Chap Nirvana, nature is on a journey to, infinity. And I'm just here for a blip of time. So it's important to enjoy, take stock, see the seasons change. As I look down now in early spring, I see the cow parsley just starting to poke through the earth. And I know that by mid-May, that will be up to waist height, and I'll hardly be able to walk through here. And I'll see it, reach its zenith and die away, and then we'll see the autumn and the winter come back round again. And I know that that big fiery ball in the sky has made a full orbit around, or planet Earth has made an orbit around it, and another year has passed. Another victory. I've survived another year. So the woodland reminds me that life is an important thing to grasp and enjoy each and every day. The things I've talked about today, they're just things, all right? Yes, they're tangible things, you can touch and hold them. But the things which are most important in life are the experiences and the memories that you will build today, tomorrow, and every day into the future. And the things which happened in the past, which you cling on to and remember. So whilst we talk about products and things, remember the important thing are the memories and the experiences that you will have today. And there we go. I hope you've enjoyed my video. I should put a caveat here. None of the products which I've spoken about today have been sponsored or endorsed by me, or nobody's paid me to talk about them in any way. They really are the things which I take through life with me every day, and they make my journey to Chap Nirvana that little bit easier. So I want to just make sure you're understanding of that. Nobody's paying for me to say anything about anything. This is really me telling you my thoughts. If you have enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up. If you would like to see more, click the subscribe button. If you'd like to contribute to the channel, leave me a comment in the comment section below. Tell me, what are your things which I've missed off the list, which you think would make somebody's life a little easier to live? And if you'd like to support the channel, you can either buy me a coffee or become a patron. I've got a Patreon page in which I provide additional material for my very esteemed patrons, whose names you will see at the end of the video. So until the next time, make the things which make your life bearable important every day. And until the next time, take care, and I will see you again very soon.